Hi, and I have taken quite a long break after many weeks of continuous having guests one after another. And I'm glad that I have a guest who actually reminded me that we had a podcast recording to do. It's very rare that my guests call me up and say, "Let's do this." Most of the time, I have to find their time and ability to be on the podcast at that point of time. A lot of people are willing, a lot of friends are very close and they are wanting to try this. But the guest we have today is Bindi Bhatt, somebody who I have worked with on many projects in events. And yeah, I'll leave it to you, Bindi, to give us a bit of introduction.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for having me. And I know I called you up today, but thank you for chasing me and reminding me again and again that, okay, we have to do this. So, yes, I did put my famous checklist and my alarm on that today we have to do this.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, about me, I have been an event manager all my life and been a microbiologist who has turned into an event manager. Yes, a lot of people don't know that about me, but yeah, now I've been in the industry for about 15 years. And apart from that, which I'm very passionate about, the other thing that I really like is to travel and to explore new places and things. So these two things kind of make my life great.
Okay, wonderful. So you've been asking me a couple of times, what is the format? What can I do? Or what do I do on the podcast? So I want to actually bring up a question that pertains to both of us in a way. I have been contemplating on how I deal with the questions on the podcast since I have no preconceived notion about what is it that should be done or what are the answers that I expect. I've had these kind of questions from guests who come on and who ask me, so what kind of answers do you expect? Or after it is done, they sometimes ask me, so was it good? Did you get the kind of answers that you wanted? I have no clue what I want from the podcast. The one thing I definitely know that I want guests who've lived life uh, as much on their terms as is possible, uh, and they have fought for their space uh, to be themselves. And thankfully, over the years, I've been very lucky to make friends and even professional colleagues who have been very sorted about how they want to live their lives. It is not that they do not have vulnerabilities, and that is the um, as the moving force behind this series particularly. So it's called the vulnerable me. And my question to you comes from the fact. Now this question is vis-a-vis being prepared for a podcast, having a set of questions, saying, okay, you answer this. My reason for not doing it most of the time is that I do not want a sense of being in control. I like the sense of not knowing what's coming next. And trust me, there have been days, I had done a podcast on fear many months back. And there was a point in that chat where I was so fearful that I had freezed. It didn't show up on camera, but just the right question wasn't asked, and we kind of had a normal question answer. So I managed to defreeze at the right time. Otherwise, it is that honest and authentic. So my question to you, however, if I were in your place, I would also perhaps ask, यार कुछ तो दे दो, कुछ direction दे दो और कुछ नहीं दो. Why are we so concerned about having a methodology to fall back upon? What is it that makes us comfortable or makes us uncomfortable when it doesn't happen? What are your thoughts on this?
So my thoughts are that for me, I've been in this system of events and I work like that. and that's my pattern of working, and it's been for last 15 years and things like that. I've in general been a very meticulous and a well planned person. And what I mean by that is I always like to foresee that something what is about to happen or what may happen, and I always need my plan A, B, C in place.
Yeah.
Like, it's very, I mean, I dare not get caught without a plan. That's my setting for myself. And if there is no plan, then I make an impromptu plan. But that is also a plan. I love doing show running, and the main thing in a show run is a cue sheet, is a tech sheet which tells you things that are going to happen in order on stage. Even if I'm going for a dinner, say for example, I like to have that little plan in my head. It's not written down anywhere, but I'm planned to that level that I know that I'm going to take 45 minutes to drive. So this is the time I leave, this is the time I'm going to start getting ready, this is the time I'll finish work. So I have that little thing that I need to be pre-planned. Sometimes it may not be possible to be planned for a long for a really long future, like for a long duration, but that little plan to me helps me be very confident, because at least I know that if a certain situation arises, this is what I will do. And to me that is very important, that, and I can be prepared of what my next step is only when I know what the plan is. And that gives me a lot of confidence. And I mean, that's my reason of always being prepared and always having that something in my hand to start with.
Okay. So I have a two-pronged question on this, a provocation, if I were to call it. One provocation is, being in events, you work with a lot of people. You may have your plans and cue sheets and everything ready, and your plan A, B, C, D, whatever you have. My understanding of what I have seen, I've been in production for a while, and I used to wake up at 3:30 in the morning to have that 1 hour to myself. 4:30 onwards, all calls had to start. You had to know whether the cameraman had left and the car had reached the uh, whoever we were shooting, and things were okay. But I needed that 1 hour to sort myself out, who has to do what, and do I know that I have all my cards on the table in terms of have I done the pre-prep, like pre-prod properly. But having said that, there was always some police wala would come, or the car puncture would happen, and somebody would be hungry, or somebody would be unwell on the spot, or the light man would say the light is not working, or and
Yeah.
in your case, so much more. Okay. Now this is first part of the question. The second part is life. Madhav is bigger than events, and it is the biggest event of our life. So life likes to trip us. It really likes the fact that we are confident and we are in control. So it just comes and throws that little spanner in the works.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see how your gears are moving now and what happens now. Now, with this kind of event, you are not like one 16-year-old that you do not know. You've really lived your life, and 15 years you spent in event. How do you not trust the process itself by itself without your doing things properly? Do you want to just think aloud on that? Because there's no proper question there, but that space of knowing things are going to go wrong. There is a cue sheet in hand. You know it is useless. It's not going to work. Now what? And you suppose your plan is dependent on another person. Now what are you going to do? So how do you deal with this mess internally?
For me, I also have that one instinct, and that probably comes from experience of doing so many things wrong, that I know that if something goes wrong and it's without my control, I'll just trust my instinct and do the next thing immediately. So that happens absolutely like a second nature to me. So that is one. I mean, in terms of life, I should also point this one thing out, that while I know I'm so planned and while I want to know the plan, I am also a freelancer. And for somebody like us, we don't know what work is going to come tomorrow. So that is a very big aspect of my life that is very, like I would say, it's in the air. I don't know what work will come after 1 week. I don't know if even I will even have work after 1 week. Whether I would
Yeah,
be
yeah,
relaxing somewhere, or whether I would be being frantic somewhere. So while I like to be that, for some reason I don't know why, I found comfort in being a freelancer, and that was one thing that I think it's the biggest thing that I have left unplanned. Like whatever comes, whatever next work comes. Sometimes there's no work and I just be like, okay, fine, things will come, things will move on its pace. So there are very these are very two different aspects of my life, that are, whatever I know and is in the pipeline, I need that to be planned, and whatever I don't know, I just leave it as it is. And the pipeline things, I think I trust my gut, I trust my instinct, and sometimes I just like, of course, silly things happen, and then you realize, okay, probably do something else and it would work. And afterthought is always there, ये करना चाहिए था, ये बोलना चाहिए था,
वो तो ठीक है.
this could, so that is there, but then I just let it go. That's there.
Okay,
So
that's a wonderful answer. In fact, you opened up the next question for yourself in a very beautiful manner. Uh, I want to bring up an aspect that I have in my personality. I want to know what is there in your mind. You spoke about the insecurity of, or you didn't term it as insecurity, but the not knowing aspect, being unsure about what's coming next in terms of work. And
yeah.
with the kind of seniority that we have for so many years we've worked, we demand a certain sense of respect, the kind of work that we'll pick up, kind of money we'll charge. Uh, we stand with our clients. Obviously, you have to deliver. That's a given. I have realized one of the things that helps me is always being alert, and not in a negative sense. It's like you're making a plan, but I put the sense of being unsure about the plan. So if there is a family dinner happening and we are going and there's a birthday in the family or anniversary or whatever, I know we are going to have fun and बहुत दिन के बाद हुआ है या whatever ऐसा कुछ होता है. But I am always mentally alert that something might happen which may trip this. Like some immediate thing needs to be done. Sir, this is on fire or that is on fire. We need to solve this. And I have learned to be at peace with it. So it is actually quite volatile a situation. But my family will not know. I know I have to do this. But I find that space where I'm able to not solve it, but let it just be there and let it resolve itself in the best way possible. Do you have something like that? And what is that modus operandi, or how do you deal with things which are inherently unsure, considering that we are freelancers of sorts?
I normally don't have a plan, but a lot of times when I don't have something in the pipeline, or when I don't know that what is going to happen. Also, for example, if I've been called for just a quick catch up, like for example, right now, right? Like you called me and we didn't have a plan. Like I didn't know what is going to happen here.
Yeah.
I just let it be after a while. So that's exactly what I do. I know the bigger plan, like this is what I'm going to do, but I don't know nitty-gritties of it. And I just leave it at there saying that, okay, let's see. It may be an experience. So I kind of, yeah, I'm not somebody who will dig deep into it. But yeah,
Okay.
if there is something that is in my head and it's like, constantly annoying me, just the thought that this is coming up, you don't have this, sometimes you have that little voice in your head which tells you, okay, what are you going to do tomorrow, what are you up to. It doesn't let you be at peace. Like even when you are sometimes enjoying with your family on a Saturday evening and you have a deadline that is there, you know that, okay, 2 slides need to be completed, and you have not done that because you had a brain like a freeze of thought or something like that. But that constant nagging feeling that comes. I think even I've tried, I just try to let it be. It can just be there. And I continue with my uh, routine that I have to. I don't actually uh,
Resolve it.
I don't try to engage it too much. Wherever
Okay.
I think I can do something, I'll do. Otherwise, I just leave it.
Okay. This is again very beautiful because I didn't think of the question while asking you this. What is the space of accepting it? Because disaster is one step away. We are aware of that. It's not that we are irresponsible people that we do not know if we do not send this. Like in my case, if I do not send the line, I always do not get the kind of clients who are patient about waiting or something. But I've realized with my own inner sense of environment that I create when I am at peace. So if I'm talking to you, even if you are hassled, and I'll tell you, just wait. I'm going to resolve it for you. But this time you are not going to get it. And I'm quite firm about the time you're not going to get it. Irrespective of however panicky you are and you're saying the building is on fire, if I do not have a fire extinguisher, I am not coming. But I am telling you, wait, I may have a plan. And because, like you said, gut instinct is there and you know if it's resolvable or not, but you do not know what it is. So I teach them through force. You have to be patient. This will get resolved. Tomorrow, you will be able to resolve it somewhere. Uh, at that point of time, I think it starts to work on the client as well. They also, in spite of being very much into this kind of knee-jerk reaction, so tomorrow, because I also do a lot of advertising work besides events work, there are deadlines hovering all over. Tomorrow this has to go up and this has to be, this artwork has to go. But how do you define this space? My question specifically is this: how do we define this space? How do we take it for granted that something will get sorted, considering that we really do not have an answer? It's not that we have an answer and we are delaying it. It's just that we do not have an answer. How do we do this?
So for me, it has been either or. If it's a me problem somewhere where I am the one responsible to give you a solution, like in your case, like you are the one who's going to write, or I'm the one who is going to make the presentation. That is a me deliverable. So that is something that I know will be done. And I, of course, have an approach that, okay, I'm going to try to adhere to your deadline, but it's going to be plus and minus. And I let that be. I'm not the one who doesn't answer calls or respond to messages. A lot of times what I have found is that the moment you don't respond, although if you are delayed and your client is following up with you and you don't answer their calls, that makes them even more hyper or impatient. For me, my it's very simple. I keep the communication going. They should know that I'm there. It's delayed, but I'm there and I'm going to solve it. I'm there. I'm not gone absconding. That is my thing. If it's a me thing, I think even if somebody else is supposed to find a solution and I'm the one who's the CS person, like we say, the link between the production and the client, I still try to calm them down. I'm not the one who would not answer calls. So I like that communication to flow. I like to tell them that, okay, hold on, I'm there, things will be done. It may get delayed, may not get delayed. That is something that I can just talk to them and make them understand. But yeah, I never
This
go
is
silent on them.
uh, beautiful. I like your answers because they are leading to their own questions by themselves. I don't have to do too much work. So, since this is under the idea of the values workshop, where we cover values, I just found that this last thing that you mentioned, that you don't go silent, you actually pick up the call and tell them what the disaster is, rather than you didn't even bother about saying, yeah, I explain or this or that. You were very matter of factly in the way you put this. And I also find that this is a great help to tell them the truth, even when it is not a very enjoyable process. that this has not been done. I have not touched your script. Sometimes we also, there is something called half-truths that a lot of people talk about. In my case, suppose you've given me a script to do and I began it, but I have not managed to move forward, or there is some discomfort I have with it, or I have it or I don't have it or whatever. I actually land up telling you I am not happy with it. So it's not the exact technical truth that you want to hear, because I cannot explain it to you what is my problem with it. But very frankly, I'll tell you I am not happy with what I have. I will not give it to you.
Yeah.
You will have to wait. So there are chances. There are certain clients who keep on, pushing that thing. But over a period, I have realized that I decide to work with people who are respectful of the truth. It may not be a palatable version of what you want to hear. And also sometimes I stay quiet. We are also wrong at times. That cannot be denied. Irrespective of being truthful and this, and they may actually land up firing for the right reasons. You misunderstood what you were supposed to do. So at that point, I stay quiet, and like I'll give you one example that recently happened. I was working with a script with a client who's been very fair with me most of the time, and he landed up saying, "This is the worst you've ever done in terms of the script." And I was a little taken aback. I said, "But when the brief was coming to me, he landed up saying, this is the same as last year, which may be because of financial reasons, so that I don't have to charge much or something like that. But I misunderstood it to be that I don't need to put in too much effort. I just need to change a certain few phrases here and there, and I have to give it to you." So I landed up doing that. The second time when he came, he fired me, and then he said, "Okay, this is to be done." Still, I was not getting the hang of it. The third time he said, then I told him, I said, "Look, somehow that thing is stuck in my head, that we have to do it like last year. So I'm unable to get out of that rut. It is not your problem. I understand the client is firing you, but it is just my problem that as a creative person, I am unable to get out of that first thing that you told me. So give me some time. I'll rework on this." And I reworked. And after that, then I didn't bill him for some time. I said, let him cool down. Let's see if he wants to cut some money. Because finally, I like my clients to be happy. They are also agencies who are working for somebody else. So it kind of got sorted. He paid me my full money and he had completely forgotten about the problem. Because right in the middle of the problem, I told him exactly what was happening. And he was actually yelling at me on the phone. And I had nothing to say, because I was also quite disappointed with myself, that how can this be? Like, I've done his work, I've done the same client's work a couple of times. Why is it not falling in place? But sometimes it's not a mechanical thing. You got to be, you yourself have been a creative for a small part of your job very often when you were unhappy with certain things. And it doesn't fall in place. It's not a set formula that you're going to sit and you're going to get the script of your life. Sometimes it doesn't happen at all. So that kind of space where truth and honesty and standing up for what you believe in, being there for your client, keeping the communication lines open. My question now, very nice things to say, but when the fire is like really burning and you know that it's now going to, the client is really going to get cheesed off, how do you sort it out to come to this point? No, I'll still speak the truth. I'll still keep the communication lines open, because sometimes you just know, say even when you dealt with me, sometimes I'm unable to give you the script. It's not ready by miles, and your client is really screaming. So at that point, how do you convince yourself? How do you convince yourself to do the right thing?
For me, it's more like I said, I like to keep the communication open. I always tell them that, okay, this is still work in progress, but instead I have this ready and I will give that to you. So if I know that there is going to be a bad fire, I always like to go with what they say is something else. I will say, it's not that I'm not giving you everything.
Anything.
I'm going to give you something, like if sometimes you go to a restaurant, right, and your food is taking time, but the guy still gets that little sakrot or papad on your table just for you to munch, I like to take that approach a lot of time. Sometimes your juice will come first, but your food is not there, or something else on the side will come first. I do exactly that. I will probably, I will say, okay, this is not ready because a certain thing is taking time. But yeah, I have this that is already done, or I have some other updates for you that may probably, that will be probably positive updates. But if everything doesn't work, then of course you have to take the rap a lot of times. But most of the times, I think it has worked. Not giving A, but still giving B and C, that has calmed them down. uh, I've taken that approach and it has worked for me. Touch wood.